Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, we will be talking about all the wondering about, of course, all the things that happened in the AFC South. Of course, with trades, injuries, people getting waived, some unexpected people getting released from contracts as well. That and more on episode 353 as we charge towards week one of NFL action. Of course, there won't be any NFL action this week. There will be a lot of college football, which I will be definitely watching and covering. But of course, before that, there is the business of, people getting released, people getting signed, people getting traded that happened in the NFL. And of course, today is the day that teams had to be down to 53 people on their roster. And a lot of different things affected that. One of those things that affected that is injuries. Now, injuries are all part of the game. And there's long-term injuries. There's, put people out for the year. And there's also short-term injuries. Right now, we don't know what the injury is when it comes to Joe Mixon and the Houston Texans. Now, he injured his foot, I believe, during training in the offseason. At first, it was talked about how, he'll be back by week one. And, D'Amico Ryans was talking about media making their own narratives about Joe Mixon and things like that. Now we're close to week one, and Joe Mixon does not get taken off the injured list basically by Tuesday, meaning that he's going to miss the first 4 games of the Houston Texans season. Now, that's a big blow when it comes to the Houston Texans. I mean, he definitely filled the running back role. They had Devin Singletary before they had Joe Mixon. Now, Devin Singletary is a smaller guy that can run really, really fast, but he's not necessarily the biggest guy. Joe Mixon's got to catch the football, run between tackles, run outside. He can do all those different things. And now they will be without him for the first 4 games. Now, they did pick up Nick Chubb this offseason, the oft-injured running back from the Cleveland Browns. Of course, they are hoping that he is healed from his previous injury that knocked him out in the 2024 season. And they are hoping that he is able to do his thing on the football field for them while Joe Mixon is out. Now, of course, adding to that, they do have the rookie Woody Marks. They do have a few other guys as well that they can throw in there. But losing their bell cow for 4 games is going to hurt. It's definitely going to hurt. If you remember last year, the bell cow at the wide receiver position was Nico Collins. He only played, 10, 11 games last year. Still had 1,000 yards, which is amazing. But he was out for a lot of the season. So with Joe Mixon out, and also just by the way, it's not for certain he's going to come back after those 4 games, folks. So it leads me to believe that injury was a lot more serious than what the Texans or anyone else want us to, let on to. So with that being said, that's something to watch as it gets to week 2 or 3 of Joe Mixon being injured, because of course he has to be taken off, the injury list. He has to ramp back up, and then he has to play. So if it's week 2 and there's no talking about, hey, there's headway towards him getting back on the field or anything of that nature, then there's questions. There's questions that need to be answered at that point. And the Texans may have to address the reality that they may not have Joe Mixon for longer than they think. And that would not be good, especially with an offense that's, reconfiguring the offensive line. They got a new offensive coordinator from the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, they've got a lot of things and moving parts. They revamped their wide receiver room. They've got a lot going on. And Joe Mixon was a steadying force on that team. And to be without him for 4 games, and if not more, that's going to definitely hurt the Houston Texans. But he's not the only running back that is dealing with an injury that will miss the first 4 games. The other running back that will is Tyjae Spears for the Tennessee Titans. He is the backup running back for the Tennessee Titans. Tony Pollard is the starter. But before the season started, before preseason games, Titans head coach Brian Callahan talked about how he wanted to kind of split up the carries 50-50 between Tony Pollard and between Tyjae Spears and kind of, keep Tony Pollard fresh as the season went on. Well, with this happening, that plan is quite changed a little bit. There will be a different back, more than likely, trying to give, Tony Pollard a little bit of a blow, and also, trying to take some carries away, whether it be Julius Chestnut or whether it be Khalil Mullings. So it's going to be a couple different backs there. The Titans did keep 3 backs, by the way. That's who they kept on their roster. Doesn't mean they aren't looking for any other backs right now. Doesn't mean that. But basically, it's going to be interesting just to see how they get Tony Pollard rest, how they get other backs reps, how they split that up to keep Tony Pollard fresh throughout the season. Because last year at the end of the season, I don't know if anyone remembers this or not, Tony Pollard was dealing with an ankle injury, and that ankle injury pretty much was there, and it took away a little bit of his explosiveness. So they're trying to keep him fresh, to keep that explosiveness, throughout the entire season. Now, I know he had a career year, but still, he wants to be out there fresh and when it times that it counts towards the end of the season. And that's the main goal, to keep him fresh and explosive and impactful the entire season. Okay, now we went over the injuries that are really, really affecting when it comes to the running back rooms for the Texans and the Titans. But we're going to go over a trade that happened. There's a little more action that happened with this team as well. We're going to talk about that team. We're going to talk about that trade when we come back from commercial break on Touring the AFC South.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off of these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, we are back on Touring the AFC South, episode 353, as we charge towards week 1 of NFL action. And like I mentioned before the break, we talked about injuries and how those have had an effect on teams, and of course, the impact with the Texans and the Titans. But there are also trades that happen during this time. There's also players that people are trying to get some value out of before they decide to release or waive them. And when it came to the Indianapolis Colts, they definitely found someone of value. Let me just give you a little bit of background. The Colts have dealt with a lot of injuries, especially when it comes to their secondary. They've dealt with Juju Brents with a hamstring issue, which we're going to talk about him later. Jalen Jones, same thing, dealing with a sore hammy. You've got Justin Wally, the rookie out of Minnesota. Justin Uchiwali is what I'm going to call him. But anyway, he's out with a torn ACL. He tore that joint during joint practices with the Baltimore Ravens. You have, Kenny Moore was banged up a little bit during, camp as well. So you had a lot of injuries when it came to the cornerback position. Now, they did sign Xavier Howard, who has a relationship with new Colts defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, who came over from Cincinnati Bengals, by the way. But, they still were kind of a little iffy on their depth as well. So what they did was they actually traded a 2026 sixth round pick to the Minnesota Vikings for cornerback Mekhi Blackmon. Now, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with Mekhi Blackmon. Well, there's one good reason for that. He tore his ACL in the 2024 season. Before the season really got going, he was out. So basically, he missed the entire 2024 season. Came back this year. I believe everything checked out with his physical. Was out there playing. Of course, I don't think they saw a future for him in Minnesota. So they decided to put him out there, some trade feelers and things like that. Now he's in Indianapolis. Now with Indianapolis, they're going through a little bit of a culture change with their defense. Gone are the days where you're basically in a set formation every single time. Gus Bradley's giving you exactly what you're going to get. And enter Lou Anarumo, who's going to, mix things up, have some blitzes, man-to-man coverage. He's going to put cornerbacks in tough situations. And Mekhi Blackmon is a corner that's aggressive. He's physical. He's he's definitely a guy that plays on a lot of instinct. And with that being said, he fits what Lou Anarumo is looking for. So with that addition, definitely in Xavier Howard, you have two cornerbacks that you're adding that are physical corners that love playing man-to-man and that basically are instinctual out there. I would say that the Colts, just their entire room before this past offseason with a bunch of guys that were solid, but it wasn't a guy that'd be like, okay, cool, that guy's instinctual. That guy can make a play for me. That guy can do this. There's not many of those guys, or weren't that many of those guys in that room. And because of that, going into this year with this defense, this new defense, you needed some of those guys. Now, I know Lou Anarumo brought in Mooney Ward from the San Francisco 49ers, but they needed more than that. They didn't just need one guy. They needed 2-3 guys back there to add to that cornerback room, because I know the Colts and Colts fans were not satisfied with the guys that they had. Of course, you have Juju Brents, who injuries, things like that. You have Jalen Jones, injuries, things like that. You have Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore's solid, but he can't play outside. He's a slot guy. He kind of is going to be like the Mike Hilton of this Colts defense. By the way, Mike Hilton did get released by the Miami Dolphins, and I'm pretty sure some cornerback room is going to be looking at him. But I digress. But yeah, basically they need aggressive corners that take chances, do a few things, and like to play man-to-man defense. Don't mind getting to a wide receiver's face. That's what they like to do. That's what Lou Anarumo likes to do, because he views his cornerbacks as his babies, as his kids, because he's basically going to put a lot on them, and he trusts a lot of them. I mean, I don't know if you saw one of the cornerbacks that played for the Cincinnati Bengals last year. I cannot remember his name, but as the season went on, that kid got better and better and better, and Lou would put him in tough situations, but the kid rose to the top. He unfortunately got injured, but this is the type of thing that Lou Anarumo does. And for this Colts defense, they're going to need to make some plays, because, offensively, they've got Daniel Jones at quarterback. Now, I'm not saying this to downgrade Daniel Jones and talk bad about Daniel Jones. I'm just kind of giving you exactly what I see with Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones is a quarterback. He's not going to take a lot of chances. He's going to throw intermediate to short routes. And basically your offense is going to have to, have long drives or catches and runs to make some things happen, not a big chunk play over the top of the defense. That just doesn't happen, because Daniel Jones plays it safe a lot. So, with this defense, if this defense, this opportunistic potential defense that Lou Anarumo has, of course, he has Cam Bonham back there. All you guys that like the celebrations, yeah, you'll love him in Indianapolis if Cam Bonham or the Indianapolis defense gets the football off an interception or fumble return or something of that nature. But if Lou Anarumo, getting back to it, Lou Anarumo's defense is able to turn over the football, it creates short fields for Daniel Jones and that offense to make some things happen, hopefully get a touchdown, not field goals. So, with the addition of Mekhi Blackmon, with the addition of a Xavier Howard, with the addition of a Mooney Ward, with the addition of a Cam Bynum, they have guys back there that are aggressive, that make plays, that get their team the football and can cover as well. So with that being said, I do like this trade for Mekhi Blackmon. You're not losing a lot in trying to get him. You may not be the tallest guy. I mean, he's not over 6 foot tall. But anyway, he is a guy that can make things happen. And hopefully, for the Colts' sake, he can stay healthy. You know, he did, like I mentioned, he tore his ACL last year, missed the whole season. If he's able to stay healthy, then you got you a steal for just a 6th round pick next year. We'll see what happens. Now, of course, I know everyone's been waiting on all the released and waived list and what happened there and all those different things. And it's a pretty lengthy one. I've got plenty of people to talk about. So I left a nice bit of room for me to talk about that at the end of this show. We're going to take one quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about all those different changes, those people that got released, and maybe a few people that got signed as well. We're going to see when we come back.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we're back on touring the AFC South. Like I mentioned before the commercial break, we got to talk about this lengthy list of people released and waived in the AFC South. All right, we're going to start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we know that they cleaned house when it came to the general manager and the head coach spot. And there were still some pieces there that the old head coach and GM were a part of bringing in, more so the actual general manager, which is Trent Baalke. So in these people that got let go were some people that were under Trent Baalke and brought in under Trent Baalke. The first one, Chad Muma, 3rd round 2022 pick. He was released. He was a 3rd round pick, never really kind of developed, never really stuck in the starting lineup. I remember at one point they were alternating him and Devin Lloyd. Of course, Devin Lloyd's going to get a little bit longer leash because he's a 1st round pick. And Chad Muma, he's not. So at this point, they're chucking the deuces at him and he's gone. So it is what it is. I know that Jaguars fans are not really going to miss Chad Muma, but I do wish him well on his next journey and wherever he lands. Another pick from Trent Baalke, I believe, Jordan Jefferson. Now, I may be wrong about Chad Muma if he was a pick of Trent Baalke or not. But anyway, Jordan Jefferson surely was a pick of Trent Baalke. 2024 pick. I never understood this pick. You pick Mason Smith, and then you pick Jordan Jefferson. Honestly, don't understand it. The D tackle out of LSU, you already picked Mason Smith with 2 A's out of LSU. Didn't make sense to me. It seemed like he never really fit there, and it is what it is. And now he's gone. So we'll see where he lands. It's his next job in the NFL, but I just didn't like the fit. Just didn't quite understand that draft pick when it happened in 2024. Another draft pick that a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars fans are probably just shaking their head about because this guy is a special teams ace, and that is Daniel Thomas. He was let go by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know a lot of people in Jacksonville, a lot of fans in Jacksonville that love special teams and know special teams did not like to see him go. And, special teams guys, you need those guys to make those crucial plays that you don't see in the box score. And Daniel Jones was one of those guys for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It'll be interesting to see where he lands. But I know that there were some Jacksonville Jaguars fans that did not like to see him go. Okay, another person, DeAndre Prince. Yes, he got drafted last year in the 5th round out of Ole Miss. I kind of thought, his skills, he could definitely do some things, but, you got Jerry Jones that they drafted with him. You got Tyson Campbell on one side. Then you bring in Travis Hunter. Then you bring in Jordan Lewis that you signed to a big deal. And I can understand why DeAndre Prince is no longer a part of this team or the active roster. So it is what it is. Maybe he'll land on the practice squad with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll see what happens, but he's a talented corner. I remember watching him at Ole Miss, and he's going to be missed. He's going to be missed. I would say he probably not going to be missed as much, of course, Jacksonville kept him. But anyway, to me, I think he's untapped potential at the cornerback position, but you've got to. There's only so much you can be untapped potential. You have to actually eventually show it or get an opportunity to show it as well. So just didn't happen for him in Jacksonville. And we're going to switch over to the Titans. And I'm going to start off with one that plenty of people did not expect, especially Titans fans. That would be James Proche. Now, he's a wide receiver, and he had been doing really, really well in camp, special teams, things like that. And I was just like, wow, that is the cut that a lot of people did not expect to see. Maybe expecting him to hang in there, be a return guy, things like that. But it seems like Chim DK is probably going to be the guy doing more returns and things like that with the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, but I did not expect James Proche to get cut. I didn't see that one. Now, another cut is Jalen Duncan. He was a draft pick, from a couple years ago or a year or two ago. Anyway, he was actually having a good camp, good training camp, but unfortunately numbers they catch up to you. Jalen Smith, definitely wishing you well on your next journey, but just won't be with the active roster for the Tennessee Titans for the meantime. It's basically what it is. Now, another guy that got cut and, people were talking about is Mims. He's a running back from, I believe they got him from the New Orleans Saints. Brought him in. He did well. Was quick, decisive, made a few things happen. Just the amount of numbers they wanted to keep a running back is 3. Plus, you got Tyjae Spears on the IR. So when he comes back, they're probably going to have to make another decision at the running back position. So I can see where the numbers did not rule in his favor. So it is what it is when it comes to him and it comes to that position as well. Let's see. We also got the last one, but certainly not least, Xavier Restrepo. Now, when he was available as a free agent, of course, the Titans signed him. He's the star receiver for Cam Ward at the University of Miami, and everyone's like, oh, he's a shoo-in to make the team. Oh, he's going to make the team. He's Cam Ward's boy. He's going to make the team. Well, besides being a slot guy, which, he's talented in the slot, he didn't really contribute a ton on special teams and things like that. And to be a guy, if you're going to be the 5th wide receiver or something of that nature, or even lower, you have to be able to contribute on special teams. I saw Alec Ailmanor, I saw Bryce Oliver, I'm seeing Chim DK. They're all contributing on special teams. So, you've got to be able to do so when you are, not high on the list in terms of your ranking in the pecking order. And he wasn't. So that's what ended up happening. There's talk of him landing with the practice squad if he's not claimed by anyone else. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Xavier Restrepo. And also just going to mention Mason Kinsey. Definitely everyone loves Mason Kinsey. He's been here multiple years. He'll get cut, end up being a practice squad, end up making the active roster. He's done that a few times. So it would not surprise me if he ends up back on the practice squad with Tennessee Titans and then works his way from there. But, definitely a guy that I've enjoyed talking to, enjoyed watching play. as well. And he's the guy that's never going to give up. So, yeah. So that's what I saw when it came to the Titans roster and who got released. Well, by the way, just to give you a heads up, they did also sign someone after they had these cuts. They did sign a guy that was cut. They do have the first, the pick of the litter, basically, when it comes to getting new players because they were the first overall pick this past year. So they get the first chance to get somebody. And they jumped at that when they got Shy Tuttle, interior defensive lineman from Carolina. He is now a member of the Tennessee Titans after signing a one-year deal after getting released from the Carolina Panthers. So just a heads up there, he's already been claimed, and there's a new big boy in the inside. If you look at all the pieces that are inside with the Titans, you've got Shy Tuttle, Sebastian Joseph Day, you've got Tavondre Sweat, and you've got Jeffrey Simmons. That's a lot of beef inside. So it's going to be some bodies moving when you see the interior presence that the Tennessee Titans have. But I digress. Let's go to the next team. That would be the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I will say, I mentioned Juju Brents earlier, and Juju Brents actually got released by the Indianapolis Colts. Now, he's going to, I believe, the last year of his deal, but or close to it. But, you know, he's a 6'3" corner. The biggest thing that has hurt him is injuries. He cannot stay healthy. If he could stay healthy, that would be a game changer, and there would be no way he'd be near getting released at all. But because he cannot stay healthy, here's where he finds himself being released. And I'm pretty sure there are some teams that will be giving his agent a ring. One of them probably being in the Music City, Tennessee. So, I mean, 6'3" corners don't just grow on trees. So it would not surprise me if he gets a call from the team here in Nashville, as well as a litany of other teams down the line. Now, just want to step over to the Tour in the AFC South inbox. I saw a comment there from Mr. Bland. What's good? So it just got done with the show. I thought I'd jump in. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it here at Tour in the AFC South. Now, last team I want to talk about is the Texans. I'm sorry. Oh, I missed one guy. Sorry, with the Indianapolis Colts. Let's go back. With the Indianapolis Colts, tight end Jelani Woods also got released. Now, he's a 6'7" tight end. He originally was a quarterback in college. Then he played tight end and was doing it on the scout team for the defense to get a look. He did so well, they converted him to an actual tight end. Now, he ended up leaving there, going to Duke, and then getting drafted into the NFL. He was talented. He showed some flashes his rookie season, but since then, he has not been able to stay healthy. And because of that, you know, you can't make the club in the tub is what I've always heard. And hence, that's what happened to Jelani Woods. Just the health and just the breakout of Will Mallory and other, there's just a tight end group that they have there and what they think of it. They thought they would be fine without Jelani Woods. So Jelani Woods, I love them coming out of college, but just could not stay healthy, and it did not work out for him. Now, going to the Texans, they have one guy. I mean, one guy I can think about, and his name is Trent Brown. Now, you're probably wondering, some of you are probably wondering who Trent Brown is. Now, Trent Brown is a former starting offensive tackle for the New England Patriots. Now, he's been a few other places. He also played for the San Francisco 49ers, as among other places. But he was brought into the Houston Texans, and one thing he also did was he tried to help out the guys around him, the young guys that are trying to learn the position in the NFL and learn a few things. He didn't do that just because, you know, he did that because it was the right thing to do. He felt it was the right thing to do. Now, he did get released. There is talk about him potentially joining back with that team, maybe at the practice squad or something of that nature. But we'll see what happens. But, you know, definitely some lineage there between him and the general manager there, of course, obviously, because Nick Caserio, his name in Houston. But there is kind of some lineage there due to their Patriot days. Because, yes, that's where Nick Caserio came from, and they were trying to be, or people said they were trying to be the Patriots of the South when he first got there. So, I could see Trent Brown potentially ending up back in Houston. Just maybe not a member of the active roster just quite yet, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's a lot going on when it comes to the AFC South. A lot of different things. You got injuries, you got trades, you got people getting released, you got people getting signed. All of that on one heck of a day, cut day in the NFL. I want to thank you all for tuning in for this episode. My name is Mike Patton. You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePatton 82. You can also find me on Blue Sky, same handle. On Instagram and Threads, you can find me there at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. Of course, touring the AFC South, you can find on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. You can also find me and my show on YouTube at the Mike Patton Network. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode 353 of Touring the AFC South. We're out. Thank you all again. Stay tuned for the next episode. Trust me, you're going to love it. We're out. Peace.